Let me begin by extending my sincere gratitude to the government and people of Ethiopia for their warm hospitality as we convene this important gathering at a moment when Africa stands at a strategic inflection point. Excellencies, honorable ministers, distinguished guests, over the past year, the global economic landscape has shifted significantly, characterized by rising geopolitical tensions and increased trade protectionism, which has heightened the importance of regional trade blocs. Tariff escalations and evolving trade restrictions threaten to further marginalize African economies, making it essential for Africa to accelerate its regional integration agenda. In addition, the policy shift on official development assistance, ODA, by advanced economies is as devastating as COVID-19 pandemic itself for some of our African countries. This calls for the continent to rethink our strategic focus and come up with homegrown solutions on how to rebuild the Africa we want. Let me hasten to say that we can choose to see these developments as challenges or see them as opportunities, which have to collectively, as a continent, take advantage as a springboard for accelerating economic reforms through economic transformation. The African Continental Free Trade Area serves as a powerful tool at our disposal for addressing some of these global challenges. With a market of 1.4 billion people and a combined GDP exceeding 3.4 trillion US dollars, the African Continental Free Trade Area offers a crucial and a critical pathway for Africa to build resilience, reduce dependence on external markets, and drive sustainable industrialization. Yet, despite its potential to boost intra-Africa trade by 45% by year 2045, implementation remains uneven due to structural barriers, inadequate infrastructure, and limited access to trade finance.
We convene at a time that is unprecedented in terms of the scale of the challenge to multilateralism. We convene at a time when multilateralism clearly is under attack. We convene at a time when we see intensified weaponization of trade policy, at a time when economic nationalism seems to be at the fore, and indeed at a time when investment nationalism seems to be the order of the day. It is therefore particularly incumbent upon us as Africans to develop a pathway to navigate this unprecedented challenge. As we know, the AfCFTA is built on a developmental integration model set out in Agenda 2063, the Africa we want, and indeed adopted by the heads of states, the Assembly of Heads of States and Government of the African Union. As we speak today, 48 state parties have ratified the agreement establishing the AfCFTA, providing a very strong legal foundation for trade liberalization, industrial development, market diversification, and advancing on the ideals of economic integration of our continent. Indeed, under the leadership of our heads of states and government, rapid progress has been made in the implementation of the AfCFTA. In less than 5 years, political will of our heads of states demonstrated that the African continent does have the capability to solve its own challenges. Importantly, the AfCFTA Secretariat has developed tools, operational tools, again under the leadership of the Assembly of Heads of States and Government, to ensure that as we transition from negotiations of the AfCFTA into implementation, commercially meaningful opportunities do arise. Allow me to set out a few of these tools that we have introduced. The first tool we introduced is the electronic tariff book, which enables economic operators using a digital database for imports and exports to identify with certainty, with predictability, the tariff that applies to the product that they wish to export or to import. This provides much needed clarity for export and import under the AfCFTA.
As of today, half of the world's 68 poorest countries, most of them in Africa, are either at high risk of or already in debt distress. The fact that this figure has more than doubled since 2015 highlights the critical nature of the situation. Even more troubling is the fact that African countries are spending up to 16% of their export earnings solely on debt servicing, which is more than 3 times the level applied to Germany during the post-war World War II reconstruction. Between 2017 and 2023, the cost of servicing external debt for developing nations rose by nearly 12%, outpacing the growth in exports and remittances. Indeed, 2025 is a crucial year for the continent, with key debt discussions scheduled at the Financing for Development in Spain, and with South Africa placing debt at the forefront of its G20 presidency. These engagements are vital because debt servicing at more than $100 billion annually, our continent is being forced to divert critical resources away from development priorities. Compounding these challenges, Africa's fiscal space continues to shrink, which limits government's ability to invest in the pillars of sustainable development, such as infrastructure, healthcare, and education. However, we must ask ourselves, is this the economic destiny we accept? Or do we seize this moment to reshape Africa's financial architecture, leveraging our vast potential to accelerate trade-led growth? Excellencies, distinguished delegates, the answer lies in our hands. And in the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, we have Africa's Master Plan for Economic Renewal. By 2045, it is projected to increase intra-African trade by 45% and enhance Africa's GDP by 1.2%. The Africa Continental Free Trade Area will also significantly boost expansions in sectors such as agri-food by 60%, industry by 48%, services by 34%, and energy and mining by 28%. It is simply illogical that African countries face higher tariffs when exporting within the continent than when exporting outside of it.
Allow me to mention the 2 critical immediate steps that we deem propel African Continental Free Trade Area's implementation. First, we have to move beyond ratification, as mentioned earlier, to immediate and impactful implementation. Here I must applaud efforts already underway by member countries to provide tariff concessions and other services and investment-related offers. Secondly, for an effective coordination, the establishment of national CFTA implementation committees is indispensable. Equally important is the development of robust national CFTA implementation strategies, along with efforts to build institutional capacity. Here, I would like to commend ECA Executive Secretary General, my good friend, Ambassador Gatete, for his continuous support that is most needed in institutional capacity building. Excellencies, beyond immediate actions, we require transformative strategies that reshape our economic landscape and unlock the full potential of the AfCFTA. In view of this, I wish to emphasize the following 5 priorities. First, investing in robust infrastructure encompassing both physical and digital connectivity is paramount. We must therefore prioritize connectivity to facilitate the seamless movement of goods and data. Ethiopia's experience with Djibouti our most connected neighbor, demonstrate the power of what my brother Mahmoud, our current AUC chair, once called it a lifeline connectivity of railway, road, fiber, water pipelines, and electricity. Yet it is also important to recall that infrastructure alone is not sufficient. Harmonizing our policies is equally crucial. Secondly, focusing on strategic investment areas to promote value-added manufacturing is imperative.